It is time. It's time. It's like 12:34 Eastern. I figured what better time to get started. So first off, my name's Chris. Welcome to Sunday morning or Sunday brunch with Chris here on my channel Battery Powered. Welcome to everybody in the chat that is joining us today. We got some strong chat fam representation and a pretty good little setup here today for you. I am not going to take 2 hours out of your time like I did last week, but that was a really, really cool and insightful show, even if I may or may not have edited the description after the show. But really appreciate everyone showing up last week and hanging in for that. And of course, welcome back to this week's show. So for starters, I want to give a couple shout outs here. Shout out to Apple Monster, Tech Lovin' Mama, Technically Lurking, What's Good. And also, I know Techie K is at me on Twitter over there, so I'll shout them out as well. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for showing up on the chat, and thank you all for being on time. I know it's like this. I don't know. I like to have a little bit of an entrance, but lately there's been some weird gremlin thing that goes against me. So if this battery powered light in front of me stays lit the whole time, it'll be pretty good. If not, I'm going to look like a ghost because I'm going to have to go off the screen lighting. Hey, what's up, Big John Tech Reviews? Thanks for coming through, man. I appreciate it. Is this an actual background? Yes, this is an actual background. Yeah, it's real. I had the box of tech. So great, great question. My point this week was I'm not going to talk about the darn background. But yeah, last week I had a large wall of tech. This week I've been kind of moving things around a little bit. Funniest part is few people that know me and actually caught the replays were asking me, is that really like a picture of your own stuff? Did you Photoshop that or print it or what is it? And it's funny, I really do keep the boxes for a lot of the things that I own, and then decided that would be a cool little stand up behind me. So for this week, we're going a little bit more minimalist theme. We got the new desk back there, and I have, hang on, we have the YouTube plant. It's still in the house. So just so you know, it's still there. It's next to the little warming lamp back there. But yeah, thanks for asking, Apple Monster. That is real. Oh, Tech 702, what's up, man? Good to see. And wow, we're gonna have to talk about that one tomorrow. Watching on his new laptop, I'm willing to bet we're gonna see at least 5 videos on that thing now coming out of that guy like Spitfire. What's up, man? Thanks for coming through. Good to see you. Glad to hear that you finally got your new laptop. That is phenomenal. I do apologize because I'm not going to be broadcasting in 300 hertz. I think this is at best coming out at like 720p24, but it's all good. So for starters, I just want to congratulate Tech Lovin' Mama. There's no contest that she won, nothing like that. But last week we were here, and I may or may not have been throwing some own crap on myself about not producing a video last week. And she in the chat mentioned that she had some stuff that she was ready to push out, ready to make it happen. And she did that earlier this week. So as you know, I do update the links after the show, so I will do that, throw that in there for her. But she did drop a video on changing the batteries in a Samsung watch, which is a pretty good little time-lapse thing with some voiceover. And quite honestly, I'm impressed about how, I don't want to say it's not easy. It didn't look easy, but it was very instructional, and she did a good job walking you through it. And she actually has the right tools for the job too, which is kind of funny. I have an Apple Watch that I've got to change the battery on. Well, I have 2 Apple Watches, truth be told. And I know everyone's like, wait, what's the punchline? No, I have 2 broken Apple Watches that I've gotten. One that I gave to somebody and they gave back to me after they somehow managed to destroy a sapphire display. And then another one that a good friend of mine gave to me. And one has a great battery and one has a great shell. So I am hoping to combine those 2 very soon. But I can tell you, after watching lots of videos, it did not go as well as as Tech Lovin' Mama's video did on that Samsung watch. So you should go and watch that from her. It has given me confidence and also convinced me that I need to go find one of those opener tools, because I've got a bunch of like plastic spudgers and stuff, but I think I need one of those funky can openers that she uses in the video. So, hey, what's up, Gigi? Gadget Goddess coming through. Good to see you. Good to see you. Thank you. So today, I am, like I said, I'm not going to have a drag out session like I did last week. This week, I'm going to try to keep it relatively short. The thing for me, normally, I would love to pontificate on the Pixel and explain and explore and understand where the heck the Pixel is, but that is going to be way better. I definitely want to hear like Tech 702 and Mr. Pepper talk about that more interactively. So we'll do that tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern over on the Tech Circus channel. So for me, Apple side of life this week, I have some returns and some other things that I've done, but I think I want to comment on the charger controversy. There's so many people now talking about this rumor that has come out of Apple no longer including the charger in the box with the iPhone 12. There's a bunch of different views on this. Now, I'm not without guilt in that realm. I obviously have some opinions. My first question is, go and look at what Apple has done since the beginning of time. I mean, I always do this. I always look at history to see what they're going to do in the future. A lot of people might forget, and if I actually thought about this, I could walk about 20 feet away and go grab it. The original iPhone came with a charger in the box, which we all know about. It also has a dock in the box, which later started getting sold for about $25. I think they figured out people weren't using it. I'd have to assume that, but in any event, it was a cost issue. They're paying money to put this thing in the box. There's a value and a return for the customer. Is the customer really using it? Are they making the best out of this thing, or are they just leaving it in the box? I think that has shaped a lot of Apple's decisions over the years. Now, you know that a number of years ago, Apple also did a little talk about courage. They get rid of the headphone jack on their phones because they wanted to sell you. I mean, they wanted to give you a better experience. Sorry, they don't just want to sell you adapters. What am I thinking? They want to move you to a place where you can have wireless headphones and wireless technology and move. And it's courage. I love that word that they use too, courage. That I don't know who they hired to come up with the word of courage, but courage in removing a headphone jack is great. And I use that word a lot, even though it really doesn't mean what they think it means. So what are we talking about with new chargers, and what are they really going to do with the iPhone 12? Let's look at why they leave it in the box. For starters, it's great to buy a phone and have a charger in the box. I think a lot of people do that. Now, if you go to a company that's, look at Samsung, right? You get a Note, you get whatever. They have usually a medium or high pressure charger in the box so that you can demonstrate the fast charging that the device has. You don't have to go buy your own. So it lends to the consumer experience. When they open the phone, the thing inside the box works with the phone and demonstrates one of the features of the phone. If one of those features is fast charging, that's a really great thing. Now, at the same time, if you go back to like the iPhone SE, the new, even the modern one, that supports fast charging, but you don't get a big fast charger in the box with that because it's like a value to your phone. For years, even prior to Apple releasing these 18-watt USB-C chargers in the last couple of years, they have given us the 5-watt chargers in the box, which is just miserable. I guess where I'm going with all this is, you want to have a charger. You want to have accessories in the box that make the device better, that make the device perform, that make and demonstrate a capability of that device. And if whatever you're adding, put it simply, whatever you're paying money to put inside of that container, if it's not doing that, what's the value that it has? Is it actually taking money out of your pocket too? If you're a brand, if you're making stuff, I mean, I know a lot of people that have iPhones, right? I'm surprised. I know you guys no one probably knows anyone that uses a lot of iPhones, but that charger cable that comes in the box, everybody complains that it dies, right? You get Apple Care, you go back to the Apple store, you get a new one, you get the phone, within 6 months, you go back to the store, whatever you're doing, that thing dies. It's not the most rugged. So a lot of folks buy aftermarket cables, USB-A to Lightning. When it came to USB-C, there's less offerings out there, and the price has gone up a little bit. Obviously, in the Apple side, the price has gone up a little bit for the cables as well, but they offer fast charging. They do some other things. I guess my point is people generally will use the cable, but I don't know that they use that little charger. Like the 5-watt charger, no. The 18-watt charger, the USB-C one, that's great. It's fast, it's good, it works okay, but it's really big for an 18-watt USB-C charger. It's just fat. It's a big fat plug. No other way to say it. So I guess the point is, people, let's say they use the cable. Let's say they partially use the charger. Let's say we also talk about headphones for a second. There's other rumors that Apple's pulling the headphones out of the box this year. By the way, I promise this is kind of going somewhere. I'm hunting around a bit in the early stages to kind of get you thinking about what Apple may or may not do and why they would do this. So I think that so I think and actually Apple Monster says, "Hey, I had to step away. Are you talking about no charger in iPhone 12 box?" And that is absolutely correct. That is absolutely where I am at right now. I actually, since I know the internet, I've been learning this thing now. So I like to do this instead of just reading things. I got to get more like Travis, where I do this kind of thing. Yeah, thanks, Apple Monster. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. But anyways, yeah. So you use the cables. I don't know a lot of folks that use the chargers, even with the new Apple USB-C chargers. I know people that enjoyed them. I know people that like them, thought they were better, faster, all that good stuff. And then we're like, I got to go get something smaller. I don't want to carry on this big brick, or the big brick stays at home and you go buy another one. Same with these headphones, right? I don't know. I know one person that uses wired headphones. And for that person, I actually gave them my old AirPods because I got tired of them destroying my the wired headphones that came in the box. And it was comical. For the longest time, I would say I'd get a new iPhone, I'd literally take the phone out of the box, put the lid back on, leave everything alone. I am betting there's a ton of folks out there that do that, where they pull the cable out, throw it in a drawer for when their other cable breaks, leave everything else in there. Wired headphones, no dice. I have no use for those. And by the way, the design on them for years, even though Apple never really modified them too much, the EarPods are what I'm talking about, not the AirPods. Put them in my ears and the cable weight causes them to fall out. AirPods, totally opposite. Great things. But Apple's never going to include AirPods in the box. I know they're coming out with a more budget line of the Pro series headphones, like the AirPods Pro Lite or something. That's supposed to be the rumor that they're coming out with for this year. I could see where maybe in some alien world, they would include this in the box for like the pro level phone for the an EarPod replacement. But I don't think you're going to see that either. It just doesn't make sense. These things all cost money. Phones are already expensive enough. I mean, we do have to thank Samsung for jacking up that S20 Ultra to be sky high price. So Apple's got a little bit of room to move, even though they're within about $100 of striking distance on their Pro Max pricing. But long story short is I don't think Apple, two things. I don't think they're going to pull both of these devices out at the same time. It doesn't make sense. Not right now, at least, based on what we're seeing. The other part is, and I don't think you're going to see them put anything else in. I don't think you're going to see AirPods in the box. It's going to cost money. This is going to be a down year for Apple. It's going to be a tough year for Apple. Apple did figure out how to do some really, really smart things during the pandemic with selling new devices. So I think that they'll be okay, but I don't think this is going to be the time that you're going to get something free from them like AirPods in the box. I would love to see a combo pricing. I would love to see something like that. That's not going to happen. Getting back to the charger thing. If they do pull it, I don't think it will be this year. Because this is the year of the iPhone 12. This is still going to be the wired phone. This might be the last generation of the wired phone. So it makes total sense that we would see things still showing up while we have a wired phone. Oh, and yes, this is also a good point too. Techlove Mom says Apple does not give you a credit to buy stuff. That's absolutely correct. Yes. Then that's kind of, I don't want to slam on Samsung for that, but they Samsung always has these interesting little credits, and when you buy a new device, they give you a $200 credit to go buy headphones, and you do this, you buy this and you get this package on their launch time. And that's pretty good because ultimately you're buying the phone for MSRP and then you're getting extra stuff with it. But I will caution you one quick little side note on that before I get entirely dog-legged on this topic. If you do that and then you don't return everything, or rather Samsung doesn't get all your returns, you get some really, really strange credits back, like pennies on the dollar for those headphones that you sent back in. So make sure if you're doing that stuff, never try to play the game of, I'm only going to send them back this thing, because they know and they're watching and they will mess with you. And I talked about that earlier this year, so I'm not going to get into it again. But just a little note, if you do that and then perhaps decide to make a return, such as I did. So iPhone 12, I think we'll have a charger in the box. It just makes sense. I don't think we're going to see it any other way. EarPods, this is probably a good time to lose them, especially if Apple's coming out with AirPods that are going to be costing less and less, or AirPods Pro that are going to be costing less and less. I think this is the time that you'll see that change. Now, another brand to look at, it's kind of interesting, is look at Amazon, right? When you buy their tablet or you buy something like that from them, they give you the tablet and they give you a charger. Like that's, I mean, I'm sorry, not a charger. They give you the tablet and then a cable. You buy a Kindle, you buy the Kindle, you get the cable. I think that is probably about the lowest place that Apple would go. I think no matter what they do, you're always going to see that. But I also should point out that Android selling, I mean, not Android, what? Amazon is selling devices that are starting at like 50, $60, and they're going up from there. So Apple's selling these things for $1,000. I feel like for right now, you're going to see, at an absolute minimum, you're going to see charger and cable in the box for the iPhone 12. No EarPods. That's what I'm calling. That's what I'm saying. Okay. That's where I'm going. And I will be back to you, chat fam, in a second here. I know I'm like, this thing's running away. I totally missed this. I don't even know what this one was. Sorry, Tech 702. The delay got me. But I think it's important to look at the future, right? So look at what you have for new things coming out. There's rumors that the iPhone is going to go wireless in the years ahead. And this is where I think rumors and stuff might be getting crossed. Okay, I think people are taking the approach of, hey, they're pulling that EarPods out of the box. I'm going to go start this rumor that they're pulling everything out of the box for the iPhone 12, for one thing. In the future, iPhone 13 or 14, whatever the heck they're going to call it, if 13's unlucky, I think then they're going to go, and that is when you will see things change. And the reason being because Apple never does anything like abolish the headphone jack until they have a solution for that, like the AirPods that came out right on the heels of that. I mean, it's a little bit disparate on a calendar, but they drove everybody to Bluetooth, and then they included the adapter, and then they stopped including the adapter. They did do a pretty good transition of that kind of, well, for me, they did a transition that I was fine with, because honestly, I only had one pair of wired headphones that I was using. I'm probably not the majority in this. Someone's going to come in and go, dude, you don't know what you're talking about. But honestly, I was already doing Bluetooth stuff then. I was using Bluetooth for business calls. I was using Bluetooth for listening. Yes, the availability and the product suites available now for Bluetooth listening and phone calls and conferencing are like they've blown up. And as we all know, the AirPods really changed that game for me. And shout out to the Galaxy Buds Plus, who are really awesome as well. But the AirPods changed it. And if you look at how Apple built up to that, it all kind of ties together. The way that they remove the headphones, then stop giving you the adapter, and then you've got AirPods. So I think that we're going to see something like that in the future. You've heard about the new iPhone being wireless, and this isn't me digging deep into that one today, but the Apple Watch is wireless too. And it includes the little, some of them include the charger, some of them include just the cable. I think it's conceivable that in the future, when the iPhone finally does go wireless, I had to use air quotes once today, that will be when you see AirPower, or AirPower will come out before. And then that is when they will start cutting that charger out of the box, because Apple needs to have a story. That's the whole thing. They want to have a narrative. It's like a Disney movie in a way. They want to have a thing that you pay attention to, and then without realizing it, they've got a solution. Now, naturally, that solution causes you to open your wallet again and give them more money, which that's how businesses work. That's what they want to do. Some people will hate Apple for it. Some people will go, I can't wait to pay $300 for a Qi charging pad that Nomad or Anker came out with, a year or two ago. It's going to be interesting times when that all happens. But I think that they are going to straight up drive into you buying AirPower. And the cable that comes with the phone at the time, they're going to have some sort of like, I don't know. That's actually a TBD. There's a lot of discussion about, is it going to be ports like the iPad Pro has? Is it going to be some sort of like localized flat, Qi thing that like you do with the Apple Watch, and you just attach to a certain point on the phone? How are they going to do that? I think Apple's going to do whatever the thing is the cheapest for them to do, quite honestly. And the thing that makes it the most difficult for you to do so that you want to go buy that AirPower. That's what I think is going to happen. So, and actually, hey, Jason C., good to see you, man. Thanks for coming through. And actually, just to pop over here, yeah, this is exactly where I was heading. Yeah, they're going to necessitate the AirPower for convenience. Now, I do still think AirPower will be a charger. I don't know what else it could really do. Apple loves to put little Easter eggs and surprises and things. They might do that, maybe. Might do that as in they might do something else smarter with AirPower. But I think AirPower's big feature is just going to be that you can charge multiple devices on it, including but not limited to your Apple Watch or your AirPods or your iPhones. I mean, that's for anyone who doesn't know about AirPower. Show up tomorrow. We'll talk about it a little bit. I'm sure Tech 702 will want to yell at me about it, but they're absolutely going to necessitate that. That's exactly what I believe is going on. And also, let me just take a look here at this chat before I run away. I turned my screens down so that they didn't cook my face off this week, and as a result, I don't notice all the same motion. So Apple Monster is saying, Oh, it's interesting. That chat isn't caught up with that. Apple Monster saying he made a video about one solution they could go for that kind of has to do with AirPower. I didn't see it. I'm not going to lie and pretend I did, but I will check it out for sure and reference that. Because I mean, I think that's the whole game here, right? Is money. It's getting money in the bank. It's getting money from other products. They want to sell this, sell that. And the more they sell, the more they integrate things into your life and make it smoother. They're a great company that's done that. I mean, if you've watched me for any period of time, you know, like Disney, Tesla, Apple, like they're three absolute greats at building a sort of ecosystem that somehow you want to spend more money in, or you totally hate them for doing this and you like want to stay away from all the brands, but they create an environment that it's like they dangle this feature in front of you where you want to do this thing and you want to go pay them more. And you complain about it. You go, I don't want to do this. I'm not going to buy an AirPower. They came out with a watch years ago and I was like, who needs a watch? Like, I have such a great smartphone, and now it's funny. Now I don't feel that way at all. And, you know, I still couldn't tell you what I actually use my watch for. I use my watch to, like, track me and get big data and tell me when I sleep and when I wake up and how many hours I stand and when I exercise and all that stuff. But I don't actually use my watch, which is kind of interesting. I mean, I do this, but I don't interact with it a whole bunch. I mostly use it for collecting things. But do I consider it essential now? Yeah, absolutely. So will Apple find a way to do this with the AirPower in a couple of years? Well, kind of like me before I had the watch. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, they've got to find some way to do it because that's what they're good at. So that said, bullet points here are, I think we're going to see, I do think that we will see the EarPods go away in 2020. It only makes sense. I also think that we will see the charging continue. I don't think they're going to pull the charger out of the box this year. I just do not see that. It doesn't make sense. Not right now while they still have a wired phone, unless this is a transition year and they just leave in that cable and then let you buy your own charger or something, maybe because they're, you know, and if they do, the spin on that, I'm early predicting the spin too. I know this isn't a bullet point, but the spin will be something along the lines of, with the advancement of USB-C in our industry and all these industry standard cables, chargers, adapters, we didn't want to add one more thing that's going to contribute to the environment's demise. So we're removing chargers from our boxes. And also, this is the best iPhone ever. I predict they'll say something else like that, the same presentation. So I don't think you'll see the charger go away this year. I do think you'll see the AirPods go away this year. EarPods, not AirPods. I think you will see lower cost AirPods swing in to take some of the stuff away. And I also need to make sure that I hit up anybody else here that had comments because I'm being a bad chat host today. Yeah, Jason C says, I use it for time and notifications. That is it. And that is exactly that's I use it for, actually, honestly, if I look at my, I mean, I would show you my watch screen, but it's going to look weird and backwards. I use it to tell my activity, the weather over the next 5 hours, temperature today, the wind direction, exercise timer, and then, of course, date and time. That's literally like my regular default screen. I have most of my apps uninstalled. I mean, actually, if you guys are interested, I'd be glad to throw together a video, like one that I actually make, not go through here live, of what I've got on my watch and how I use it. Maybe that would be an interesting thing just to see how other folks do it. So, and yes, this comment here, at least drop the 5-watt plug. I'm a guy that runs a channel called Battery Powered. When I originally started this channel, it was to talk about charging stuff and battery packs. And I was like, I'm into Apple. I love Apple stuff. I have a lot of Apple stuff. I'm less so with Android lately, but I still use it, you know, to kind of keep relevant on it. I even got some Chromebooks and some little bit of Windows stuff, but I'm all about like I'm into actually that charging technology, and like that's a thing that's really really interesting to me. And at some point, I'll probably start developing the channel in that direction. But I don't think anyone would show up here to listen to me talk about chargers all day for a Sunday. Although I guess we kind of did that. So hey, we'll see what happens. But the point is, 5-watt plug. Yeah, that thing has no place in society. What I actually use the 5-watt plug for now, this sounds really strange. I do have a couple of them plugged into an outlet strip, and I have them plugged in because they are some of the smartest 5-watt plugs, or I should say, the most resilient 5-watt plugs around. And there are times where I don't want to like shock load a battery. Like I'll have a gigantic battery, like an XS Max, for example. The phone, the battery, they're both a couple years old. They're kind of aged. I know that they'll do quick charging, but I haven't used the phone in a while. I want to bring it back to life, flip over to it and use it for a bit. So I will use the 5-watt charger for that. And it's great. It trickles the energy in nice and slow. For things like remotes and stuff like that you're recharging, I think they're great. Because the one thing, and by the way, I'm throwing up on my own video idea because I do have content. I know Tech702 doesn't believe this, but really, I do. I have video talking about how it's easier to get faster chargers, but you can't get slower ones anymore. There's no way, and that's what I think you're going to see for the next gen of some of these interfaces and control interfaces, is you're going to have a way to regulate the charging from the device end, and that's going to be the next sort of era of smart charging. I don't always need to charge at 25 watts. I don't need to shock load my battery with high current all the time in my Note 10 Plus. I don't need to do that. There's times where I'm fine with it taking 6 or 8 hours to charge. Heat is the enemy of batteries. That's why if you look at like Teslas and EVs and stuff, depending on the load that they have out of that battery, they also have equal cooling. That's why on some of their new models that Tesla's making on their Model Y, it's a big deal that they have some different battery cooling in it. That's the tech. It's funny. People just look and go, oh, charge fast. Yeah, but charge fast, you're making something super hot. And when you make batteries super hot, that's no go. They do not like that. So that 5-watt charger really is good for some things, but I don't need it in the box anymore. And then there's also this one too. Yeah, absolutely. And also, what's up, Tech for Your Needs? I'm sorry, I missed you before. Yeah, I can't watch for this thing. I cannot watch for this thing. I cannot wait for this to be standalone. It is moving in that direction, but not fast enough. I don't know what it is with the watch. I mean, they came out with the S5 and it was just like the S4 except now they gave you always on display, which is really just the ability to kill your battery a little bit faster, in my humble opinion. But yeah, independent watch, I'm hoping should be soon. However, I've got to kick it on this Android phone part. I mean, as long as you're not looking for integration. I don't think that there's going to be integration, but yes, I do think that you could be an Android user and then you could have your independent, Apple Watch ecosystem so that you're still in the Apple side, I guess, is what you're thinking there. And that I do not disagree with at all. I think that will be an interesting time. But I've just got to caution you now, Apple's still going to find a way to make you have a big screen Apple device in order to use the Apple Watch. Like, you'll be able to use it, but they're going to do something so that, like maybe you can like add to your health data, but you can't actually see it. Something like that. That will be what Apple does. And you won't be able to see it on like iCloud because they'll want a secured iOS device. And then this is the other part too, which is kind of interesting. The waste more of an issue from Tech Love and Mama. I mean, yes, the wires are probably more of a waste issue, but are you saying, I guess the thing I'm wondering is, like, because they get destroyed or because you just, like, you say, I don't need these things? Because I mean, if it depends what you're talking about. If it's an iPhone, generally I keep the cables and I just throw them all in a bin. And then when I go see like, my favorite niece and nephew, I'm like, hey guys, I know you destroyed some Apple cables. Here you go. And I wish I was sponsored because there's a really, really cool company out there that actually, since I gave some of my family the cables by this brand, who I'm not going to advertise for free here because, well, just because they haven't destroyed the cables yet. They're still like So I've gone there with my new Apple iPhone cables in the bag and gone, hey, I got some new cables for you. And they go, oh, we're good. We have all these cables now ever since you got us these other super indestructible ones. But okay, yeah, it was Anchor, by the way. But so I know you're not supposed to, but not being able to charge and use the iPhone is a massive inconvenience. Well, that's why you get the big charger. I mean, That's why, or I think what you're talking about is, yeah, if you have like the 5 watt charger, you definitely can't do that. And if you need to like charge the big boy, like the Pro Max, and then you plug it into that USB-C brick, yeah, I know what you mean. It gets hot. It's like a hot plate at that point. I totally get that. You're not supposed to, I mean, heat is the enemy. So whatever you can do to keep your iPhone or your batteries cold when you charge them, you will be money. I mean, I used to race radio controlled cars. Big shocker. I know. It's like somehow there's like this like you either did hardcore gaming or you did like radio controlled stuff, or in the modern days it's like FPV. But when I used to do RCs, it was amazing. We had these little racks and they had fans built into them. And when you would charge the batteries, like you were pounding these cells, and the cells were, sub C class battery cells. Now it's like LiPo packs and stuff. But when you charge them, you would actually have you'd have them almost in like a little tunnel with a fan on them, blowing air over them as you were charging them, because you wanted to keep them as close to room temperature as possible, because that caused them to be more efficient. Obviously, the life cycle of the battery was longer. So for your iPhone, if you're using it on something, or if you're like using it heavily or whatever, and by the way, here's a free idea. I'm sure that I haven't seen anything that's actually done this, but like a cooling case would be a marvelous thing if you're sitting on an airplane trying to watch movies in picture on picture, because you can do that now on an iPhone, sort of. And you're texting or you're doing other things and your phone is dead and you're trying to recharge it. If you're doing all those things, your phone's going to get super hot and probably ride that thermal limit and do that little dimming, darkening thing. But nice cooling cases would be a really, really great option right about now. And then, of course, everyone's going to tell me that they're not going to take it on an airplane. And Chris, you're insane. But also, what's up, Techie K? Thanks for coming through. I saw you. I knew you'd be coming through. I knew you'd be here. We had faith. So thank you. And the wire stopped working, get ruined before the actual charger brick. So the e-waste thing would make sense towards wire. Okay, I got you now. Yeah, that's true. That's true. The thing that I find for me is the bricks do go on to serve a life later on in time. I mean, like I just told you, I've got my little 6-strip of the 5-watt USB A chargers from Apple. I've got those. I actually, for a while, I was keeping them in a vase, and then I decided that was like a flex loserish thing, because I had a bunch of them. Every time I bought an iPhone, I threw them in there, and I realized I've got a lot of those. So I took them to Best Buy one day and threw them in their little recycling bin. But yeah, that's true about the wires. This is true. I think the wires do die, so they become more of a problem. And at the same time, it's one of two. I mean, I don't carry the stock Apple cables with me anymore. The Apple Watch, I do, because I love their size. I love the tiny, the thinness of those cables. And of course, I'm using the USB-C watch charger. So like that's great for the watch. But yeah, for the iPhone, I don't. And so they end up sitting in the box, and then they eventually do become e-waste. It does make sense. And, and this is exactly what you're saying. I'm thinking the e-waste, they say, is the reasoning that they're putting those slow bricks in the box. Yeah. And I think that when we turn the corner, you will 100% hear, it will be an ecological story. It'll be something about the planet, the environment. I mean, they're never going to stand up on stage at the keynote and go, man, this stuff's so expensive and you guys don't even care. But the way I look at it is, look at like when Apple takes your phone back from you, even before the pandemic and all that other stuff, they send you a box. The box literally has a sleeve in it that you wipe your old phone and you shove it in the sleeve, and then see you later. So it goes off. And as I'm sitting here, I just remembered, I'm pretty sure I left one of my SIM cards in one of the phones that I returned to Apple recently. So that's cool. Welcome to my live reflections with Chris. Super glad I went and got all those returns out the other day. But yeah, you throw the phone in a sleeve. There's no charger, there's no cable, there's no anything, because those are all like sort of, items that they don't really care about that. But it ends up either becoming trash or becoming gifts for somebody else. All I know is buying USB A to Lightning cables is not very hard to do. They're used to be about $20. Now they're about $5. So tons of them out there. So charging, iPhone, what are we doing? I'm kind of done with that. I think, well, it's a wait and see at this point, but I wanted to pontificate a little bit, and I didn't think it was worthy of its own video. But I did feel like it needed some conversation. So I'm certainly glad for those of you who have some similar feelings on the topic. And I'm also glad to be responsible for this reuniting. I'm glad to connect folks that have not seen each other in a while. It's great. It's great. And yes, I'm pretending like I've got, thousands of people here reconnecting on my show. But oh, wait a second now. So Techloma says, what about the warranty in their devices? Will they make it harder to cover battery related issues since they don't provide them anymore? No, I don't think that this will occur. I think what you'll see is, so that's a super good question. And this is something I wasn't going to talk about, but I think I mentioned before that you will see Apple having, or sorry, phone vendors have ways to control the charge current into the phone in the future. I think what you will see in relation to your comment is I think that you'll see a way that Apple has better monitoring and measurement for that. So that when they get that technology, because I mean, the chips are so dense, and skipping all the technical side of what the chips can and can't do, they pack the most that they can in there. So they don't usually have a lot of extra room, shall we say. So I think with iOS 14, I'm assuming that, or iOS 14 and then possibly new hardware, you'll see that Apple has different ways to track some of the charging information and determine if you're using like a non-compliant charger or something like that. I mean, USB-C technically, we could go into the depths and realms of the MFI program that Apple has, made for iPhone program. And Apple, it's interesting if you read about USB-C stuff. Go read the MFI website for the USB-C things. Technically, today, Apple just claims that they have USB-C power delivery compatibility. And that's kind of it. So if your device is PD capable, it plays nicely with their cables and everything, and you're good to go. But they don't actually, at least the last time I checked, which is probably a few weeks ago now, they didn't have anything that was MFI specifically on the charger side. And that is kind of where I think, everything's going in the longer term. That's why I think they're going to leave that cable in the box. They'll include the cable because the phone's going to have the right instrumentation to figure out whatever you're doing. And that's because they've got Lightning and they'll own that standard. They're not going to do USB-C on the phone itself. Just so you know. App Monster, thank you for coming through. Appreciate it, man. Good to see you. And yes. And also, never mind. I thought you were saying bye to me too. I thought I made Mike mad. So yeah, going back to this one, I do think that we will see, I think the warranty stuff, I don't think it'll be harder, but I think that Apple will probably have some surprising data to share with you. We'll have to see how this plays out, because the other part of this is as they move to the wireless phone isn't going to have charging that supports that crazy high current that the wired charging does. But the biggest problem that I have about the whole wireless thing, and this is a whole other series that I want to talk about sometime, is, how do I use my phone in my car now if I can't charge it if it's wireless? That's got to be irritating as all hell, because navigating uses a lot of energy. Playing music and all that stuff while driving and charging. I don't even want to think about what that's going to cost me for some sort of wireless cheap head in my car. I play that game with Pataka, and it's been wild. Hey, Big John, appreciate you coming through all the same, man. I know you got stuff going on there, and that's the most important thing. Sorry to hear you're dealing with some illness. That stuff is never good, but appreciate you coming through always, man. And I hope everything is as well as possible for yourself and your family. You gotta put the family first, as always. So good to see that. And yes, Tech Love and Mama says, "Wow, I'm sorry, managing this whole thing bad." They do have wireless phone mounts. I owned one. I had the Pataka one, and then I had the Scotia one. They have them, but the thing with wireless is, and I knew I'd open Pandora's box here. And then she's saying 4 cars, and then Big John is saying, they're going to push you to the wireless for the car now. So this is, actually already happening. We can kind of say that, but the thing about wireless, and this is what everyone's got to remember. And I'm thinking now that I don't think I did a video on this. I think this was earlier this year when I started talking about this. The problem with wireless that we got to remember is wireless has physics to contend with. So you have a big coil here, a big coil here, and you've got to get the energy from one to the other. And that transfer isn't 100% efficient. So you end up typically with heat being generated as a result of that. And then when you're charging it, you're adding in a ton of current. It's even more heat. So the transition itself makes a little bit of heat because there's some efficiency loss and things like that occur. That's with, Qi, your standard inductive Qi charging now. It adds a little bit of heat to things. And then you add the fact that you're putting in current to the battery, that adds heat. So the whole problem is you lose your capacity to charge at high rates unless, I think, who is it? OnePlus, I think somebody has like a high current wireless charger, which is impressive. But I have to assume that it's like got a cryogenic brick or something attached to it. But I think what you will see is, well, the thing that we need to see is how does it keep cool? Because in the car, both of the wireless chargers that I had did one or two things. Number one, on the iPhone, everyone knows about the thermal limits, right? The phone can actually shut itself off. It'll show a little thermometer and it'll blank out on you and just show a thermometer when you try to turn on. The other thing is it'll go to like half brightness. So it'll show you that it's on full brightness and it won't mention anything about it. But it's actually being thermally limited. So the display is darkening to avoid adding extra heat in. And I experienced both those conditions constantly with wireless charging when I was wireless charging like on the dash in a place that I could actually see the phone. I will say that a couple of the vehicles that I drive frequently now have wireless charging. I finally recently brought a car into the family that has wireless charging natively, which is awesome because it's in an area that I can actually see it and it's out of the sun and it charges my iPhone around 7 watts, I think. So it's pretty cool. But 7 watts isn't enough to really recharge your phone if you're using it. And I have to assume not everybody's like me and probably half the folks in this chat who are running around with, a handful of phones to their name, testing a bunch of different things. And if I only got one and I want to charge it and I'm got the wireless charger in my car and I need to navigate somewhere with that device, I need it to give me more than, even the 10 watts or whatever that the Android stuff will take. I know it will take a little bit more now, but those wireless chargers, that's my biggest concern is how do you get that? I know some people who live out west, you're driving through the desert or whatever, you got your phone running nav, you got 20% battery, you're trying to fill it up before you get to where you go. You're listening, you're listening to music and stuff, and you've just got problem after problem. So it's like you can't ever escape that charging demon that wants to just make your phone super hot and throttle it in some way, shape, or form. So that's the thing that I think is concerning. And also, I think this is a valid point as well. It will once all phones support it. Yeah, there are still phones sold in 2020 that don't have wireless charging, which I don't understand. I don't get why. Like the TCL stuff, especially, I don't get it. I mean, I get it. There's some design considerations and there's some other things, but why doesn't everything support it? That is absolutely ridiculous. And TLM, thank you, Mama. That is good. I too hope for the best for yourself and your family, John. And that's of course is a cool way to talk about that. Well, yeah, I mean, it's also funny too because when I was on Contractors POV with Gary one time, he liked to refer to me as battery charger, so that's very appropriate. But yes, I will absolutely be sneaking in some other ways to do this stuff. And then. Actually, sorry, your first comment first here. I'm getting these comments that are totally face blocking. I got to move myself around here a little bit. But yeah, it's really interesting. There's a charger now. There's a company that makes chargers for I have a Tesla Model 3, and there's a company called Jetta Products that makes a wireless charger for that. Because when the Tesla Model 3 came out, there was like this, it's like the budget model Tesla. There's like a tray that your phones rest on and you plug them in. And then there's a million people that made a retrofit for that. And Jetta is one of them. And it's funny. Everybody made these like dual charging. Oh, you can't even, let me hide this thing. Yeah. Now I can talk better with my hands. They made like this dual charging deck wireless thing for your phones, but there's like a ridge in the middle of it. I'm sorry. Actually, it wasn't Jetta. Jetta's the one that makes it without the ridge. A bunch of companies made it. They had these two wireless ridges thinking, oh, great. You can put two wireless phones in there, two wireless charging capable phones, and it'll keep the phones there, keep them upright, keep everything good. Well, that's great. Except for when you want to just do one horizontally. So Jetta is the company that came out and said, hey, we're now making it so you can horizontally charge your phone in portrait or charge it in landscape while you're, depending on how you like to view your directions or whatever. Super great. I think right now something to me that's kind of comical, which I haven't looked into it a whole bunch. I was waiting for more discussion or waiting to see what the internet has talked about it. But that new BMW that's going to work with Car Key, the new 5 Series, super interested to see how that whole thing comes together, because in the Apple demo of it, they had some real goofy stuff. I know we've talked about this before in Tech Circus, but they had some super goofy methodology saying when you get in the car and you put it in, the charger in the console, it authenticates the car key and all this stuff. And it's like, your Qi charger thing shouldn't be like hidden underneath everything else in the car. And I get it. It's a safety issue, but that is just asinine to put your stuff up there. So, And yes, and this is the other part too. There is no good portable solution for the car. I actually went out and bought like a ProClip USA, I think is their website, not sponsored or anything like that, but I bought one of their mounts, and then I used a 4-hole mount and some other little tricks to get the Scosche one really, really well mounted in my Honda. And that thing was gorgeous. It had great magnets. It was perfect. The only thing it didn't do was charge really fast, which is kind of, and it made my phone super warm. So I had thermal limits, and I live in New England. I don't even live out in the desert where it's 110 all day. I'm driving around where it's 80s and 90s in the summertime, and my stuff's okay, but it's still darkening itself automatically and not charging fast. So, and yes, I missed the last part too. Yes, it'll probably be $200 to buy. Yes, I don't think Apple will never make you a charger for your car. Apple will just make a car that you can charge your phone in. That's probably the solution that they'll do. That's how Apple will process that stuff. So the other part that I wanted to mention is, so closing out the Apple iPhone wireless charging, all that good stuff. I think that there's going to be a lot more to talk about as we move closer to AirPower. I feel like Apple could do, my nod on the AirPower thing. I think that we will see that come around this year, so that everyone can get used to it and get comfortable with it. And, it'll be announced and shared and possibly ready for production, maybe, later on in the fall time, maybe the time they release the new iPhones. But I think they want us to get comfortable with that across the year. And then from there, that's when they'll make the move to the next transitioning technology, or they have the iPhone that really requires the AirPower, or you're really going to want the AirPower by then. And assumedly, Apple will also sell a bunch between now and then, so people will already have it. It will already be incumbent, and life will be grand for those folks. So a total different little topic that I just wanted to touch on. This isn't a big one, but something worthy of mention. So Apple returns. Apple has not been doing in-store returns for a long time. You do shipping back to Apple. And anytime you go to make a return, actually, sorry, for me, maybe it's different. Just for me, they're not letting me come in the store. But for me, anytime I do any Apple store, any Apple online things, it used to be go into the store or ship it back. And for me, when I go in and create the return, it is like, hey, you can take it into the store. You just need to like make an appointment, or you can ship it. So shipping's been the way. Amazon has been the same. But for me, I know this is going to surprise a lot of people. I had some Amazon returns that happened just around the time of the world shutting down for the pandemic. Very interesting, weird moment, because I had selected the I want to return to Kohl's option, which is pretty good. If you've never done it, quick note on that, it's awesome. You literally say, I want to return this thing. I want to take it to my local Kohl's. You put it back in the box. You put everything pretty with it. You go and you hold the thing in your hand, and then you walk into the store with a QR code that shows up in your app, and it shows up in your returns on the app. So before you go in, just navigate down there and click on it so that you have the QR. You can even screenshot it, save it in your photos, make it a little bit easier. You go into the store, you go to the Amazon returns desk, if your Kohl's has it, and there's a locator on the Amazon.com website. You go in there, you say, here's my QR, here's my thing, and then off you go. And like an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours later, you get that credit kicked back to you. So it's super fast and it's super painless. So I've done this you've all probably heard this before about me having things that Amazon has liked to lose in their return system. They've gotten back a phone and they kind of forgot about. So I really like Kohl's for the more expensive stuff, or for the bigger items, or, things I just don't want to be concerned with packing. That's been great. Well, it also shut down around the time of pandemic stuff coming in. Kohl's closed, at least in my area. All the Kohl's were wrapped up, and it was not considered essential. So it was very interesting that what Amazon said to me. I reached out to Amazon. I was like, yo, I got some stuff that I really want to get back and return. One of the things was, I guess I'll say it, it's an Amazon renewed iPhone 8 that I got. And of course, they're supposed to be really good condition. And I got one that had a bunch of scratches on the screen. It looked like somebody used it to keep a table up off the ground, level the table off. I don't know what's up with that. But yeah, I decided I was not good with that. So went to return it. Kohl's closed. Went to Amazon. Amazon's like, yeah, you don't need to ship it. We're not going to do any of that. You can ship it on your own dime if you want. We'll give you a label and you can ship it to us. And I was like, well, that's really weird. I don't want to do that. They're like, yeah, but since you had a Kohl's selected thing, don't worry about it. When Kohl's reopens, you can take it back there, which is marvelous, which is great. I just have to wait for, months for everything to get better. I mean, I know there's bigger issues. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to be totally insensitive. I know there's a world of problems out there. I know we got like life and death stuff going on. It's just kind of irritating to me. It's like, guys, you can't just give me a label to ship the thing back. No. Since you selected it for Kohl's, don't worry about it. When Kohl's reopens, we'll give you 30 days from when they reopen to go and return stuff there. I was like, oh, okay, great. Well, finally that happened. Kohl's reopened, and it looked like they reopened for the Amazon stuff, so I went in. So there's a couple of little changes. So A, if you've never done the Kohl's return for Amazon, know that when you go into the store, look for like a mustard colored sign or that kind of orangey colored sign. Big arrows on the floor, thing on the ceiling, usually a podium thing saying Amazon. In my store, the one that I go to the most, they've now changed it. I mean, they still have all the arrows and everything. I mean, now they got so many arrows. Now they get arrows. Push the door this way. Put your hand here. Walk this way. Put your left foot here. It's like a combination of Twister versus like how good is your reading and how fast can you read while you're walking. Glad there's no gum chewing allowed. So it's interesting, like all things, because I went in there to return something recently because they finally reopened. Go to the Amazon thing, and they've moved it now. It used to be at the service desk, and there was gals with bags and all this stuff. Now it's a dude at a podium, and he's got the big sneeze guard thing in front of him that's about 25 feet tall of clear Lexan or polycarbonate going up to the ceiling. He scans your stuff. You hold your thing down. He scans it, whatever. It's like a bank teller transaction. And it's funny because it used to be like this, here, put your stuff down, and then they take it off and throw it in a bag or whatever. But now it's a lot more like surgery. Like they scan your thing, and then they get a bag, they sanitize their hands or whatever. They get a bag, and then they hold the bag open, and then you basically throw the thing in the bag. I mean, or place the thing in the bag. But in theory, the concept is you're not supposed to touch the bag. So it's just kind of strange. Like being super delicate with all these expensive electronics. And at the end of the day, it's like, here, I'm going to hold up this bag. And then once you throw the thing in the bag, it's like, catching a wild animal. He seals the bag up and then tapes it and then throws it into a bag of other bags and then washes his hands again or whatever. It's just kind of a weird process because it's totally in the middle of the store now. It's not like they've closed down that area where there's stuff in that part of the store. There's no product nearby. And then you're just kind of going to like a no man's land. I also couldn't see like the packages or containers where people were putting their return items. I assume the volume is pretty low. But my point is, the thing that I want to mention for folks, and yes, technically lurking saying, that sounds like a game of operation. That is exactly what it is. You've got to get the thing in the bag without touching the sides, where the buzzer goes off and they open the door and kick you out of the store and your return is no longer valid there. But it's funny because like I know we all have to take precautions. We all have to be smart. You've got to wear masks in the store. It's like state laws where I live, and there's all these other things that are going on. It's serious stuff. So I'm glad that they're doing this. It's just there's like some unexplained aspects to it that maybe they're anticipating like a ton of people coming in to do Amazon returns, or maybe they know something that I don't. And the next time I go in, there's going to be like 100 people. It just seemed to be a little bit more cordoned off than the rest of the store. It seemed like it was different. It was different. And the good thing is, if you watch this channel, you know that I kind of frequently have returns. I mean, it doesn't help because I've been literally like shopping. This is where I've been shopping from since this whole thing started. I've been buying so much stuff off of Amazon, and it's to the point where even when I tell them like, just deliver it in one day on like the Friday or Saturday or whatever, they don't care. They're like, we're just going to stop by and we'll continue to deliver, all these makeup remover wipes. And why does this guy keep buying combs? He doesn't even have any hair, but whatever. Also, welcome back, Tech for Your Needs. Now, one other thing that I'm just going to throw in here, that is my Amazon return content for the day is done. I've been told don't spend an hour talking about your stupid Amazon returns. No one cares about them. But I really wanted to let folks know that it is available again at a lot of Kohl's. And on Amazon, when you're selecting a return, make sure that you do that, show all options. And it's not favored. Before it used to be like at the top. Now it's down at the bottom. They don't necessarily want you to do that, I guess. But if you do, and it's there, you can check to see what your Kohl's store is right from the next screen. It'll say, go find the one near me, confirm they're open, whatever. The one near me was only open for pickup orders for the longest time. And then they finally opened the regular, retail hours or whatever, again, returned to normalcy. And then Amazon came along with that like a day or two later. So it is all possible to do in the Amazon app when you're making that return. It's pretty good to do at Kohl's. Not a bad thing. Not very hard or rich with effort. And like, as just to be noted, it's happening again. Just be prepared that when the guy holds the bag up like this, or the gal holds the bag up like this, that they're expecting you to throw your expensive electronics inside of it. So, Techie K, thanks for coming through. Appreciate it. I am going to wrap up as well, I think. So if anyone has any questions or anything you guys want to hit on before we end this, let me know down in this little chat thing here. But first, I will throw this comment up by Jason. The Apple logo leaving the back of the iPhone. I have heard about this. You know, it's an interesting one to me. If you look at the logo over the years, they went from the luminous logo on the old MacBooks to the non-luminous logo. On the iPhone SE, the new iPhone SE, SE2, SE 2020, they moved it down. They like slid it around a little bit, so I guess so that it's not to be confused with the iPhone 8. But the logo now, and I haven't done research on this in a long time, but not necessarily prepared for this part of the discussion. But the logo today, I believe, actually serves as a window for antennas. I think that's where some like the Bluetooth and stuff pokes through in that one little area on the skin on some of the devices. Now, I know when like devices have glass, obviously that's not a concern because it can poke through anywhere. This would only be for the metal framed devices. So on the glass framed, I feel like there's no reason for them to get rid of it because it's still that brand. It's the brand on the device, which Apple's very, very big about. The FCC stuff and all that other crap, they were really, really, really wanted to get rid of that. But I have not heard, at least as of yet, I have not heard the reasoning behind this and why they were pushing for that. I understand why Apple would want to get rid of everything else other than their logo. But to me, it seems like their logo is something that they want to keep. And they want to make sure it's there so that you see it and you know it's theirs and you know it's their phone. And personally, do I care about it? To weigh on that, I do not care. They can throw the thing in the trash. I actually, for me, it's the other direction. This is the phone case I'm currently using for my Pro Max when I'm not using the Apple battery case, which ironically, the Apple battery case does have an Apple logo on. But I like the fact that this doesn't have the stupid hole in it to show me the logo. That's actually a huge problem that I have with cases nowadays that I don't understand it. I bought a Spigen case a couple weeks ago. It's been a long time since I tried them. Wanted to go back to Spigen. And the case I bought, I didn't even realize this when I was buying it, but it has a big stupid window like the old OtterBox does. Now, I don't want a stupid window on the back of my phone case. I want a piece of rubber that goes around all sides of my phone. So if Apple's getting rid of the logo to prevent people from doing that, that would be great. That I'd support. Anything else, though, I don't think they're going to make that move. I don't know why they would do that. It can't be a cost savings thing. I know iPhones are very, very recognizable, at least until they get to like the 12. Maybe that's the thing. They're thinking, hey, the 12 is going to look so much unlike every other phone in the world for a couple months that they don't need it. But I don't really see the reasoning behind that. Also, I have no idea. He's gone walkabout. So my only hope is that, Michael, wherever you are, know that you can always call us. And hopefully you come back in time for like tomorrow night, because that would be really good. So I am going to be closing this one up. So thank you to everybody in the chat. Tech702, Techie K, Tech for Your Needs, Technically Lurking, Jason C, Tech Lovin' Mama. I know Gadget Goddess, Big John Reviews were in here as well. Apple Monster and Jason C, GG. I always feel like I missed somebody, but I think I've got it. I think I have it all. So thank you all for coming through. For everybody else that might be catching this on the replay, thank you for catching on the replay. Thanks for being part of that replay crew. I will be back here every Sunday, 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific. And of course, don't forget, you can see me tomorrow night. I'm actually going to go hit on this with Big John Tech Reviews. You might see me show up on his Monday Mayhem, but if not, Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern. I believe he is his Monday Mayhem. And then, or actually, I'm sorry, it's 7 p.m. Central, I think, which is 8 p.m. Eastern, is Monday Mayhem. And I will probably be showing up on one of those here in the near term. I will also definitely be showing up on Tech Circus tomorrow night, Tech 702, myself and Michael Pepper, assuming he returns. Actually, it's good to see him offline for a bit, I guess. But you will see us tomorrow night on the Tech Circus channel. That is at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And yes, I switch them back and forth when I talk about them to make sure that you're paying attention. So 9 p.m. Eastern, Tech Circus. And Tech 702, I know you're here in the chat. Oh, hey. So, wow. Hey, Contractors POV. So Tech 702, are you dropping Tech Heat today? Are we going to see that from you? Is that, did I miss the notifications while I was getting ready for that? Also, I yes. So Gary, you get credit. You made it. I know you got some like funky schedule right now with your work stuff, right? If I'm not mistaken. So this is really like your sleep time that we're into. I saw some tweets and things coming through from you at the random times a day, but super glad to see you here as well. I appreciate it. Appreciate you coming through. So yeah. So I think you'll be seeing Tech Heat from Tech 702 today. Yes, this afternoon, slow week also. That's okay. Yeah, it is. It's been a weird week. I'm hoping that this time next week will be very, very, very different for us. So I think we're going to see hopefully some Pixel news in the pretty near future. But yeah, don't forget to catch this. Tech 702's Tech Heat every week. Sometimes it's Sunday mornings, sometimes it's Sunday afternoons, but it's always Sundays. And I actually yelled at him. I said, you need to start putting it out after my live because then I'll talk about it. And no, not really. Gary, it's all good, man. It's totally good. I'm talking about Apple stuff and chargers, nothing related to the Fold. Gary's off in Fold Ballerville right now, getting all sorts of insane sub growth from dropping all his really, really great Fold videos. So if you haven't seen what he's doing lately, go check him out. I think he's in my standard links to the channel, but you can find him in Contractors POV on Twitter and on YouTube. With that, I will see you kids tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, and or possibly over in Big John's Tech Reviews Monday Mayhem. Until next time, I want to thank everybody for coming out. I want to encourage you all to stay safe, stay well, be friendly to people. Remember to wear a mask the right way if that is your thing. If you're not into wearing a mask, that's cool too. Just stay home, please, because this stuff is starting to get crazy again. Thanks again, everybody. Take care, be well, stay safe, all that good stuff. Until next time, bye.